humanity and make sure it's right. Protect community and never. Yeah, time to take back the light, take on the fight, harness the energy with all your might, shine for humanity and make sure it's bright, protect community and never lose sight, claim your name and your home and history, believe in ability to achieve a victory, believe in ability to achieve a victory, let's go! You have a good time, you have a good day, gotta have some, you don't need to, all you need is dance to the edge of victory, to the edge of victory, to the edge of victory. Let's free our mind. Everything goes. Do what you want, whatever you want, whatever you need. Let's free our mind. Everything goes. Do what you want, whatever you want, whatever you need. Stand up, who is both new and old. Say what? Cut the power and weapons to hold. Come on, y'all. Together, we will take back our home. Together, we will take back our home. Come on, let's free our mind. Anything goes. Do what you want, whatever you want, whatever you need. Let's free our mind. Anything goes. Do what you want, whatever you want, whatever you need.
Branch.
Hey, hi, hello everyone. Welcome back to the lobby, GameSpot's weekly video game hangout. I'm back. I was gone for 2 weeks
He's back!
in a far land of New York. Yeah, I'm back. It's good to be back. I heard you guys went like 2 hours last time.
Yeah, because we were having so much fun.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that pertains to the audience as well. I'm sure it did. As always, we have a giveaway today. We have some news items to get through, but it is kind of Destiny 2 week, and also Metroid Samus Returns. Pete and I got the chance to play it. We have a lot of things to talk about with that. That'll be out September 15th on the 3DS. But we also have some post-PAX West. Do they call it PAX Prime? PAX Prime. PAX.
It's called PAX West now.
They did, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's
All
what,
those.
PAX South now, PAX Australia,
PAX East.
PAX New Guinea. We will be talking about there's a few smaller announcements there and also just overall impressions of the show. Kelly, you were gracious enough to come into the office while you're reviewing Destiny 2. I'm sure it's a busy week so far. We're all kind of playing Destiny 2 in one respect or another. But I want to get through some news items. In some good news for Player Unknown, Brendan Green, the game reached 10 million copies sold yesterday.
Less than 6 months after
Yeah.
launch.
He sent out a tweet yesterday because, like, I knew
It's just money.
yeah, like two weeks ago it was at 7 million. I was like, wow, that's unreal. And then all of a sudden yesterday he just goes, holy wow! I think he like found out and then immediately was like, holy shit, we just reached 10 million. So PlayerUnknown's Battleground still hasn't released their second map, the desert one.
Is he just too busy playing his own game?
Probably. Yeah, it's still early access. They say they're going to be out in full before the end of the year. Xbox One version as well at some point. They still don't have solid dates, such as the nature of early access sometimes. But yeah, congratulations to Brendan Green and all the people at Blue Hole involved with that game in South Korea. Blue Hole? Yeah, Blue Point is the HD remake company.
Yeah.
Yes.
Better name
Yeah.
than Blue Hole.
I don't know if the audience hears this audio, but Jean-Luc, you're piping in some weird audio into the
Kinda like
studio.
Is it a cry for help? Do you think he's being attacked back there? And
There's
he's like,
very loud. There's very loud music playing in our studio. It's done now.
Hope
things
you're
happen.
okay, John Luke.
So, also Mario, the famed Italian plumber, apparently is not a plumber
Hey, man.
anymore.
Yeah.
What?
There were people were talking about his costumes in Odyssey, how he can have like a safari outfit and whatnot, and then Nintendo, their Japanese website, says he's no longer doing professional plumbing work, as you can see on screen if you're watching live. The page explains Mario as such, all around sporty, whether it's tennis or baseball, soccer or car racing. He does everything cool. As a matter of fact, he also seems to have worked as a plumber a long time ago. As a matter of fact,
He
was at
has
one point-
evolved.
I like
As
that.
a matter of fact,
As a matter of
Mario
fact-
was once an Italian plumber. That literally could not have been more matter of fact than that.
I
Oh,
like
yeah.
the counterpoint to him being sporty was, as a matter of fact,
Yeah.
he was a plumber.
I like that.
If
I like
was
that.
a plumber, I'd be pissed. I,
like
can
that.
be sporty.
Yeah.
It's a pretty neat progression tree.
You go from
Italian plumber, and then wear it. Race car driver, tennis
I
player.
mean, is that
Safari
like
man.
referencing Mario Kart? Am I just getting this? Like Mario Kart, all
Yeah,
the different
yeah.
shit he
Mario
does.
That
Tennis?
was he's a noted partier. I've heard all sorts of things.
Yeah, he's a
Loves
club
Jägermeister.
kid. Yeah, Jägermeister and Molly every Friday. Sundays nursing his hangover. What is
sleeping years ago?
Once you realize you don't have to sleep, the whole world opens up. I didn't get to play Mario plus Rabbids yet, which is a shame because I've heard it's very good. Is he a plumber in that? Like, did they, I mean, not to like get too deep into this. rabbit
Well,
hole.
there are pipes
Yeah.
that he can go in, so presumably
He's a Green Beret in that.
What is
He's a commando.
what is a plumber?
They fix like wiring, electricity,
Oh boy. Oh. Wow.
cable antennae.
Everyone drink coffee while Mike is going.
Cool. So yeah, Mario's not a plumber anymore. He's very jack of all trades.
It's a pretty awesome quote.
Yeah. So PAX, Callie, you're the only one here that went to PAX, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
How was it?
it was fun. It's a very chill show. This is my first PAX. It was nice. I was sort of nervous, and then I found the Pokemon League, which made me feel more at home. Yeah, you can go around and challenge people to Pokemon battles when you're not doing other things. But yeah, it's cool. The panels were cool. I went to the Witcher 10-year anniversary panel.
It's hosted by Danny O'Dwyer, or co-hosted by Danny O'Dwyer?
Yeah, it was hosted by Danny.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
I think it was the most attended one there, right?
Yeah, it was huge, and there were tons of people there.
That theater that I was in, I've only been there once. My first and only PAX West or whatever was 2 years ago, and that theater, I'm terrified of heights, and the balcony seats there have like, they're at such a steep incline that I actually got like vertigo in that theater. But it looked packed from photos. Side tangent, but that theater terrifies me.
Yeah, it's huge. It's like they have actual art and stuff there.
Yeah.
They like do real performances. So
Like the fear like you're gonna trip down
Yeah.
the steps.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's
I know
also
that
very
feeling.
high up. There's like 6 rows of balconies already 6 rows up.
Yeah.
Candlestick and AT&T Park are like that. The top sections. I
dude,
just you think about like,
don't like it.
if you're just a drunk asshole up
Yeah.
there.
Surprising you don't
Which
hear
is
about
like
that
my whole
happening.
thing.
Yeah.
yeah, people just dying. That's why they call them the nosebleeds. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. I got to
It's one of them. It's one of
But
them.
yeah, it's very fun show.
I got to check out a lot of cool stuff. I played. I think my favorite thing I saw. One of my favorite things was Donut County, which is like reverse Katamari. It's like a town with like anthropomorphic animals, and it's very cute. But you control a hole in the ground, and you can like you go under things so they fall into the hole. And the more things you collect, the bigger the hole gets until you clean up everything. And it was really fun. I liked it a lot.
But what is a hole with nothing left to fall through it?
A cleared level.
Okay.
What is a hole but the absence of space?
Or the center of Earth.
Were there were announcements, right? A couple smaller ones. Oh, this was a game you were talking about.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is Donut
Yeah.
County.
I thought you were saying it was some sort of booth or like restaurant in Seattle.
Philosophers, man, this is deeper than you all thought.
yeah.
This is very much a black hole, right?
He's a very smart raccoon.
He should be running.
He's very smart.
I also
He is the hole.
What's going on?
Okay, I'm out.
so that's it. And then I also got to play something called Battle Chef Brigade, which is the next like Adult Swim games. The next game they're doing.
Very good name.
It is an anime style match 3 brawler cooking competition game,
Fuck yeah.
and it ruled. I liked it a whole
This
lot.
was this no, as you said, Adult Swim. It probably wasn't the Nindies thing, was it? Like it was
No,
just- oh, okay.
was it? It is coming to Switch. It
Oh,
might have
okay.
been on the Nindies thing, actually. Yeah, I think it was. But I got to play it, and I thought the match 3 brawler stuff would not work, but it worked really well, actually. You basically have to like go hunt for ingredients, and you have to get the right combination of ingredients to cook. And there's 3 colors, and you have to match them to get a good dish. And it had like a story. You're like an up and coming chef. It reminded me of Food Wars, that anime. It was like Iron Chef, sort of. It was cool. A cool Switch game.
Where's the brawling come into play after you make
You
food?
when you hunt for food, you have to like attack animals and stuff and steal their meat.
The only match 3 like fighting game I played was Dungeon Dragons.
Puzzle and Dragons.
Puzzle Dragons.
Puzzle and Dragons. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
So
think
it's
that
not
has
a
a lot
foreign
of.
concept to me,
Does
I
that
guess.
have a lot of brawling in it?
Not brawling, no.
You guys ever play Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo?
Nope.
No.
So, Street Fighter, obviously.
Yeah.
So
Nope.
this was, shut up. So basically like Puyo Puyo in a sense that you have to like match up like, 4 things that fall and drop. But like the bigger the thing you destroy, the more, like, 'cause you have 2 Street Fighter characters on the screen. And so their actions are dictated by what you break. So it's like a fighting game driven by puzzle mechanics. That makes sense.
Cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What about No More Heroes? The new, it's not a reimagining, it's a sequel, right? From Suda 51.
Yeah.
Yes. I
That-
believe
Yeah,
it's
no,
a
yeah,
sequel,
it's a brand new game.
He
It's
showed that off at PAX.
Yeah, that trailer is sick. I love the art style. I didn't get to check out the game myself. I think Alessandra might have checked that out. But it went away. The trailer is really cool. And I haven't played No More Heroes, and it kind of made me want to.
Oh, I did see this.
In the fact that like, oh, I feel like I slept on this. This seems like something I would really enjoy. And I want to be able to check it out before this comes out. So
One of the points of confusion that was recently cleared up around this, for people who don't know, this sort of hints at like a Hotline Miami like collaboration, and there was like some talk over like, oh yeah, we're gonna be collaborating with like 7 different indie dev studios to make this game. That's not true. They're collaborating with 7 indie devs to make T-shirts that you can wear in the game, which is a huge difference.
that is a lot different than what I thought.
Yeah, like I didn't care about this because I was like, oh, they're gonna democratize development. Fuck that. But no, they're not. It's a pseudo joint. It is what he's doing.
You prefer totalitarian development.
You mean art?
I played Shadows of the Damned. I played Killer 7. And I played part of No More Heroes.
Yeah.
And they never really grabbed me all that much. But this looks
They're
stylish.
I mean, if anything, they're distinct, right? Like
Yeah.
they leave an impression on you, and you remember what you've played, which is more than I can say for some games. So, just to have something so unique and get the budget to be made the way it is, I'm happy to see that.
Yeah.
What was the recent game he made that everyone was like shitting on, but it turned out to be really good?
Let It Die.
Let It Die.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a weird. It was free to play.
Oh, that
on
skeleton
PlayStation.
is so cool. I love that skeleton.
He's like your Cortana,
Sex
your
partner.
guide, kind of. Yeah, that was a fun game, kind of procedurally-ish, generated in an amusement park. Kind of, I don't know. You die, there's permadeath, and then you go back to the beginning. But yeah, you're trying to survive and get through. It's fun.
It's interesting how that game just kind of disappeared,
Yeah,
but despite the fact that people are still playing it.
yeah. It kind of had a drop off, I guess. Then we also. Is there anything else from PAX that I missed overall?
There was new Secret of Mana footage streamed
Yeah.
of the remake.
Really?
Yeah.
What's that coming to?
PS4, PC, and Vita. Not
Interesting.
Switch.
That's on the SNES Classic as well. The
original,
one.
yeah.
Yeah. I've played that game once. I liked it a lot. What did they show at PAX?
They showed like the first 10 minutes on a stream, and there was English subtitles, which is good. And it looks great to me. Like Justin, speaking to Justin Haywald, he correctly noted that it sort of looks like what you'd get from like Square Enix's like mobile 3D remakes.
It
Oh,
does.
really?
But that doesn't bother me so much, frankly.
Mobile 3D
Yeah.
remakes?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of like.
Well, sure. You can think
Final
about the
Fantasy VI.
DS. No, don't think about that. Think about like the DS Final Fantasy games that they remade.
Oh.
Sort of, but it's higher quality.
It's like it's sort of chibi looking.
It's chibi, it's cartoony,
Yeah.
but it's not like highly detailed, but it's certainly expressive enough. So I don't know. There might be 2 different camps that, for me, it seemed like a very faithful 3D upgrade.
Cool.
So I'm excited about it.
So PAX. Fun show.
Fun.
In
Yeah.
Seattle.
Yeah.
And then you stayed up there? Or no, when did you go to Bungie for that preview review
That
Destiny 2
was,
thing?
That was a while
3
ago.
weeks ago.
Oh, okay. 'Cause
Yeah.
when I did that for the Taken King, it was like I stayed up there for the next few days at Bungie.
Oh, yeah, PAX is like, I did all that, and then I went straight into Destiny, so I'm kind of
Yeah.
like, ugh.
And
But
you had the Pokemon thing right
I did-
before that. You've just been on a whirlwind.
Yeah.
I am tired.
We'll be getting more in depth with Destiny 2 later in the show, probably the last segment. We'll also be talking about Metroid Samus Returns and Nintendo in general. They're having a great year by all accounts. I'm gonna knock this off because that is embargoed for tomorrow. But side note, quick, while we're talking about 3DS games and Metroid, and I guess just like Nintendo in general, I haven't really always been the biggest Fire Emblem fan. I was telling you and Jake, because Jake's always like ranting about Fire Emblem. I played a little
Sounds
bit
like
of
him.
Awakening back in the day. I never played any of the Fates games, Revelations, Conquest, or Birthright 2 years ago. Fire Emblem Echoes like jumped up to my top 10 for sure this year. I absolutely love that.
It strips away a lot of the relationship stuff that took the series over. 'Cause
Yeah.
that was not usually the norm for
Yeah.
Fire Emblem, and it sort of became the norm.
Yeah.
Some people like that, but for people who don't, like myself, that's
Yeah.
what makes this game stand out. That and like the odd dungeon stuff.
I love the controlling two armies. For those who haven't played or don't know, you have Alm and Celica, and it's a reimagining of the first game or
It's
remake.
a reimagining of a game called Fire Emblem Gaiden, which was sort of like at the time even like a weird offshoot on the Famicom.
No. And I played Echoes. Like I think people are saying they beat it in like 35-ish hours. I'm at hour 30, and I think I'm about to beat it. But yeah, you're controlling these two separate armies, building them up. It has that. I don't know, maybe this is a weird comparison. Suikoden 2 vibe of kind of building up an army with different characters that you recruit, or I guess like all Fire Emblem games, but oh my god, I fell in love with it so much. Like my love of XCOM, and I want to play Mario plus Rabbids, but this in terms of the turn-based stuff, it's also very hard, but I'm absolutely in love with it. Just figured I'd shoot that out there because I don't think we talked about it once when it released, but I finally got around to it, and it's absolutely, I love it.
Yeah, too bad you haven't played Final Fantasy Tactics yet, Mike.
I started on the Vita, but then I started playing this.
Told me it was very what was it? Outdated was the word you used?
I just said
Or
dated. I got like an hour into it. I was mainly just grinding your goats.
Boy,
Um,
you need to get
whoa.
rid of that game.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So we let's talk about Metroid Samus Returns. You are essentially done with it, right?
Whoa.
So
that
this is a
look.
weird one of those weird embargoes, courtesy of Nintendo. We can't give like put up the review.
I'm
You
not
can't give a
reviewing the game
score.
right now, and I can't talk about the last boss, but I can talk about absolutely anything,
Yeah.
which includes how much I fucking love this game.
Yeah, I mean, I played 5 hours. I told you, or like 4 or 5 hours. I'm like, absolutely, got this thing right here because I was playing
That's true.
right up until the show went live. Oh man, this game's really good. There's a lot to dig into as well.
Yeah.
To start, this is a reimagining of Metroid 2: Return of Samus.
Do not think of it as like a remake in the
Right.
traditional sense because it takes the basic premise, which is, okay, there are Metroids on this planet. We don't want the space pirates to get them and like take over the universe, so we're gonna go send some crews out there to go kill them. Well, those crews never are heard from again. All right, well, we gotta send Samus. She's the only person who's ever fought a Metroid, so we're gonna send her out there. And so this is the game. You are on SR 388. And you are there to just eradicate Metroids. At the bottom of the screen, you can see 32. That's 40 at the beginning of the game, and that
Yeah.
represents the number of Metroid bosses you have to beat. And they scale, like some are more like a mid-boss, some are more like traditional bosses. But that's essentially what you do: is you defeat Metroids, you unlock these gates that are based on the old, sort of Egyptian-like alien race known as the Chozo. They have these little gates where you have to like give them Metroid DNA to go deeper into their civilization.
Yeah.
And you do that, and that's the basic premise. Structurally, it's very different from the first game, even though it shares that same gated mentality because you have one large map that is interconnected. You are not moving from one phase to another like you did in Metroid 2.
Yeah. Here's a Metroid mini boss
This
fight,
is
I guess.
this is the alpha Metroid, I think, and so the different Metroids you fight represent the different stages of evolution of the Metroid, beast. So the ones that we're all familiar with, for the most part, are the larva, the sort of jellyfish-looking one.
That Amiibo.
Yeah,
And you just saw you absorbed its like DNA, and then that unlocks those gates that you were mentioning. There's kind of like
Correct.
a set number of Metroid you have to kill in each area.
Yeah.
And then you can see the map down here. There's a lot of new things Samus can do. I don't know if we've seen it yet in the B-roll, but people might have seen it when they showed it at E3. She's got this this melee counterattack for when
Yes.
enemies charge
Yeah,
her.
we just saw some of that. That was cool.
And it's tough to pull off at first. I'm getting the timing down, but they're different enemies attack at different speeds. So different enemies attack at different speeds, so you can but you can essentially just like stun them, and then it automatically aims like a power shot at them, and then you just smoke them.
Yeah.
And it's really useful for the Metroids. Like,
I love this footage.
Whose capture is this?
This is mine.
yeah.
So apparently game journalists suck at video games. Ooh.
Is the spider ball, that thing that's climbing up the walls, that new?
No, that was in Metroid 2.
Okay. So I never played Metroid 2. I played a lot of the first one and Super Metroid and all the Primes, and I'm excited as hell for Metroid Prime 4. But I was telling you, and you were saying, this game really focuses on the action aspect of it. It's maybe it's between the melee counters. You can hang on a ledge and shoot and do the melee counters while you're hanging. In general, like the 360-degree aiming with the analog on the 3DS.
You can stop and hit a shoulder, hold down a shoulder button, and Samus can aim. I mean, really, it's like 270 degrees or 180, rather. Whatever. But yeah, she can aim in any direction. So if she's facing this way, she can eventually turn and fire that way without really moving.
Oh yeah, actually, I love her stance when she shoots behind her.
Oh, yeah.
She's like,
Yeah.
it's like this fucking pose that just, oh man, I love it.
Yeah.
But she's sick. You got some dope armor there.
So that's just the Varia suit. That's what you might recognize from Super Metroid.
Does it withstand heat?
It does help you withstand heat. There are a few different suits you get throughout the game, one of which we can talk about in a second because it's a little controversial. But, here we go. This is going to be a chase sequence. So this
shit, I
is
haven't
not
gotten here yet.
Yeah. So,
What? You got the spread gun too?
Right. Okay.
Oh, does that open those doors with the eyes?
Yeah.
Okay, I was wondering.
So
This is like Ori in the Blind Forest. Nah, that's
Sure, I mean,
kind
so-
of, I guess.
okay, this game is not Metroid 2 necessarily, but it's also not Super Metroid, even though you've got a map, you've got hidden items everywhere. I mean, like that broad structure is the same, but the way that it emphasizes action relative to exploration is very different. Like it likes to put you in tense situations where enemies are not just sort of standing there waiting for you, or they only have like one or two attacks. You're often bombarded like quite a bit from all angles, or you're being chased like this. And this is a 3-tiered chase sequence. I'm just going through the first section right here. And so action is sort of the moment-to-moment thing, but you still explore for hidden items and you want to find them. But the key difference here is you don't actually have to poke and prod every single block. You actually have an ability that will scan the nearby environment and on your map highlight, based on these little blocks, this grid system, where your items are. And you might think, well, that cheapens the whole experience of, hey, I'm exploring these things and going into the depths and hoping I find some great riches. That's still a challenge, even though you can locate things, because there are often little mechanical, environmental puzzles involved to get the item that you can see.
Yeah, and also you can kind of see on the lower screen here that yellow bar that dictates certain powers you have, and that sonar pulse is mapped.
So that sonar pulse is mapped to that, and you replenish that by parrying enemies or just defeating them. You'll get more for parrying and less for just defeating them outright.
There's some Chozo ruins that just give you full.
They will
replenish stations.
Yes, yeah, you can get replenishments as well. But so it's a nice little advancement for the series to find a way to incorporate action and keep exploration, but also freshen that up, because so many Metroidvania games have come out, and so many of them revel in that blind item hunting experience. That what Metroid has to do something different, right? It could be just what we played in Super Metroid with a new map, and people would be happy. But I'm beyond happy with this game. Like, I am thrilled that it is the way that it is, and I'm really happy that I've gotten a chance to play it, and I'm at the end, and I can't wait to replay it again. And it's not just about knowing the map or seeing the different bosses. It's about getting through these sort of harrowing experiences by the skin of your teeth.
And to point out, like you kind of mentioned it, you don't have to use that sonar pulse. If you just don't press A, you could keep shooting walls like the old school way. But
I feel like that's
more
stupid.
inclined.
I feel like that's dumb. Like
it takes out the overwhelming aspect of like, oh my god, like
wasting time, right?
Right. To point to a recent. Like 2 years ago, I believe, Axiom Verge, a very, very good Metroidvania, and they were going very much for that classic.
Yeah.
Spend hours, you might not know where you're going, looking for things, and then also, like what else came out this year? Dead Cells, that early access game, which is phenomenal, but that's more of you start over and you kind of gain permanent abilities, a la Rogue Legacy without the procedural generation. Or no, it is procedurally generated, and that game is fantastic. Hollow Knight was really good. I finally got around to playing that a few months ago. That's kind of more. That's still a Metroidvania, but they don't give you any direction at all, really. And then also, in the Dark Souls vein, not the combat, but you actually will leave like this corpse behind that you go back and kill for all the money you got.
Sure. But yeah,
Ori in the Blind Forest even kind of have Metroidvania aspects. But like you mentioned, this reminds me of Breath of the Wild, where it was almost like Nintendo was kind of seeing what everybody else was doing, and not that Nintendo had producers on this game with Mercury Steam, the developer.
Sakamoto, the guy who's made every game except Metroid 2.
Sakamoto.
No, you jerk.
I played too much Persona 5.
So which is kind of funny because like the one Metroid game he really wasn't involved in was the one that he is essentially in charge of overseeing the remake of.
Yeah.
But maybe that's good. You know? It is.
And I'm only 5 hours in. You were much, much farther than I am, but it feels like Breath of the Wild in that they've come out and they've done new things to the formula. Like Breath of the Wild is, I think, is the best open world game ever made that comes to mind.
I mean, I will say that the credit is Mercury Steam's.
Right.
Nintendo approved their whole action focus, but they brought the idea of parrying to the table. They brought a lot of the action-oriented stuff to the table, and that's based on some of the work they did for Castlevania Mirror of Fate, which was, they made Lords of Shadow, which were those big 3D action games, very un-Castlevania-like. But then they made the 3DS game, which was trying to be a real Metroidvania in that sense. It had this like weird overemphasis on combat, which involved like quick time events and shit like that. So who knows how much they presented to Nintendo? I'm sure Nintendo helped them refine their idea. But this is a mix of two parties who had really good ideas, or at least really good direction, and this is the result. Despite the fact that this is mostly made by Mercury Steam, it feels like a Nintendo-made game.
It must have taken a shitload of trust on Nintendo's part to trust someone with like what Nintendo fans have been asking for years now, like a return to 2D Metroid.
But we were talking about this earlier. I mean, look at the platform it's on, right? This is a sort of the minimum risk they could take to make this game, right? They have someone else make it, and they put it out on a platform that is presumably cheaper to develop for than Switch.
Yeah.
So if this does well, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw, a new game, put onto Switch, or we saw this game ported to Switch. I would hope that could happen, because I know I'm not really playing my 3DS much these days. This is the first game since Echoes
Oh, really?
where I've wanted to play it.
Yeah, it was like this whole last 2 weeks has been Echoes, and this for me, like I haven't put this thing down, but it's like Metroid Prime 4. Have they said if it's going to be next year?
No, they haven't said anything about that.
Obviously, that's great. I love all three Metroid games, especially the first and the third. Metroid Prime games, especially the first, and Corruption, the third game. But I was excited for that. But obviously, like the thing a lot of people have been asking for, at least within like the old school diehard Nintendo circles, is a two-dimensional Metroid game.
It's been 13 years.
Yeah,
since
since what was the last one?
Game Boy Advance. I think it was either Zero Mission or Fusion. I think Zero Mission. It's like I forget what the order was for those two. But yeah, it's been a long ass time. So the one misstep, which I kind of hinted to earlier, was one of the pieces of armor that Samus can wear. The fusion suit. Some of the communication from Nintendo was a bit wonky.
Yeah.
It seems to have been clarified, and it kind of sucks, is that you can get the suit from Metroid Fusion and wear it in this game, and it's a more difficult version of the game when you have it, but you can only get that through an Amiibo. Now, on the one hand, you could say, well, Amiibo costs as much as DLC typically, so hey, you're just getting DLC. But it's shipping on the cart. It's already there. It's not like it's coming out months after the fact. Like they had to make it and they needed to somehow recoup costs. It's, whatever. They're shipping this game with this on there, and they're making you buy a toy to unlock it, which kind of sucks. There is a harder mode that you will unlock after beating the game, but it's not the fusion suit mode.
I love Amiibo or
I mean,
Amiibos.
Wolf Link from Breath of the Wild kind of comes to mind.
Well, Breath of the Wild used a lot of like specific items to Amiibo, right? Yeah.
What were you saying in particular with the armor in this one, that it was like really awesome?
It changes your abilities, and the mode that you use that armor in is a little bit more difficult. So it's a unique run through the same world. But the issue is you have to buy a toy to get it. Now maybe down the road Nintendo will put it out as DLC.
To play devil's advocate, what's the difference between buying an Amiibo to unlock that and just buying DLC?
Because it's on the cart at release.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So it's there. It's just this unlocks it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like you bought the cart, but you don't get
Can't
that
get
content.
to it.
So it's gating stuff
I-
that's already done.
Yeah, I mean, like I would argue that the Breath of the Wild Amiibo stuff is a little less
Impactful.
Yeah,
Intrusive.
absolutely.
Totally.
Like I think that it sounds like this is an entirely not entirely different, but a unique take on the game that would increase your replayability, and it's a different way to experience the game versus having the a certain bow in Breath of the Wild didn't drastically change my experience with that game.
And I'm here at the end of Metroid saying, I want to replay this, and maybe that's hard mode, but like, I mean, we have the Amiibo. I haven't used it yet because I want to just beat this game, and some of the Amiibo give you like extra energy tanks and shit like that, which is good, but like, I don't want to get to that point. But I do want to replay this game and see what that feels like without the fusion suit. Then redeem the fusion suit and feel like, okay, well, what does this really mean? The concept of it doesn't detract from my enjoyment of the game. I still think really highly of it. It's just one of those things where it's like, by the way,
It's a huge bummer.
you should know about it. It's a bummer. I don't know,
And it
it's a
seems
huge
kind of
bummer.
cheap.
It seems a little cheap, but
Yeah.
but here we are with a 2D Metroid that's excellent that we haven't seen in over a decade, and I can't get too upset about that.
Yeah, I want to get more to like overall Nintendo stuff, but I do have a question from 84 Jester X in the YouTube chat. He or she was saying, even though length doesn't really affect a good Metroid game, how long is it from your experience?
Well, based on my experience, which was I wasn't really using the pulse thing well enough to begin with, so I ended up doing a lot of backtracking to like find hidden items I maybe didn't need to, and there was one boss I got stuck on, not because it was like too hard, but I wasn't sure like what to do to damage it during a certain phase. That took a little bit more time than maybe other people would need. I'd say over a dozen hours at least. It depends on how you want to play.
Yeah. And I also want to point out that Samus Aran in the YouTube chat just joined, didn't say anything
Nice.
else, just put the emoji with sunglasses. And that's it. Nothing else.
Love that. Respect.
She has not said another word.
There's not much else to say.
I know.
Well,
really
unless
it.
you're in Metroid Other M, and then you've got.
We have a poster of that hanging in our lobby. Is that like
It's
an
a good
ironic?
poster. That poster.
Or it's like
looks
a
nice.
canvas.
Yeah.
I never got it.
But no, that game, I don't know if you ever played that game, but it has like story moments where Samus is not her usual self and she's like talking to this commander and she's very like sheepish and like he's the one in control and it's like, that's not fucking Samus. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Samus is the boss. You don't
Yeah.
fucking put her under someone. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That game's weird.
Yeah, and then we have what else is coming out for Nintendo the rest of the year? Super Mario Odyssey, and then we have a bunch of third-party titles.
Well, Xenoblade is technically first
Xenoblade
party.
Chronicles 2. That looks. People played that at PAX actually. I think. I don't know if we got the chance to.
Xenoblade I played.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, well, let's talk about that quick.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't think I thought of the Switch stuff as separate from PAX. I'm sorry. I should have brought it up when we were talking about PAX. Yeah, it was gorgeous. The battle system seemed very convoluted on paper. It's basically you have what's called a blade, and it's sort of like a familiar, but it's like you get different powers and you can kind of swap between blades. And at first it was super overwhelming, and I was like, okay, so I have to swap between them, and then I have to get to like certain tiers of attacks to get a final attack. But in practice, it's actually super smooth. The battle system I really enjoyed. I thought for a JRPG it was kind of a cool, like I was letting my teammates do what they wanted, but you also have this collaboration aspect where you can chain attacks based on your party's attacks. And so I liked the battle system a lot. It seemed really involved, and the world was gorgeous. It seems like it's going to be like the first Xenoblade Chronicles, like a really substantial RPG, and it's coming to Switch. So I'm very excited to actually get deep into that. And you don't have to have played the first one to play this one.
Oh no. Yeah.
So
Totally separate.
it's totally separate, and I can't get over how beautiful it was. Like you're inside these giant flying beasts. And like that's where humanity makes their homes, and it was the level design, the monster design is really great. So I'm excited to play more.
Did you play handheld? Or
I
just
played
on the
that
Pro
docked. I
Okay.
played Fire Emblem Heroes as well, or Warriors. Sorry, Fire Emblem Warriors.
That releases soon-ish, right? Fall?
October.
Yeah, that one was. I really like Musou games. I think that they captured the Fire Emblem thing really well with that as well. There's like a pairing up system with really satisfying attacks that seemed very true to Fire Emblem. How you can kind of like, if you position your two people next to each other and they have combo attacks.
They make out real quick before
They make out real
release
fast.
a devastating attack.
Yeah, Camilla is just really jiggly on her horse. That was good. And then I also played Skyrim on Switch for a little bit. That I played handheld.
Oh, yeah. So I guess that's a good transition. So we have Skyrim on Switch. We had Nintendo partnering with Mercury Steam to bring out Metroid Samus Returns. We have them partnering with Ubisoft to do Mario plus Rabbids, which, again, was a great game from what I've heard, like across the board. Breath of the Wild came out, and it was, in my opinion, like the best open world game ever made. It's up there. Now we're talking more Metroid, and it's fantastic. We don't have a score or anything.
Well, Metroid for 3DS. You're talking about Switch. I thought you were talking about Switch.
He's just talking about Nintendo.
I'm talking
in
about
general.
Nintendo. in
Bam.
general, sorry.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. This is our. I wanted to talk about this because I was talking to Pete the other day about this after he had played Metroid and been hyping it up
We were drunk at a bar.
Yeah, and I'm mostly sober right now, and I still think Nintendo is. It seems like this year Nintendo's like finally back in a big way. Like they weren't always completely gone, right? They had some great games on the Wii U, but it wasn't what we were wanting. It seems like they're not as sheltered now. They're working with all these different companies, these third-party titles. They're coming out. They're bringing their big guns with Breath of the Wild. It's amazing.
You got to keep in mind these deals were struck back when Nintendo was struggling in our eyes,
Yeah.
when they didn't know what they were doing. But it's like they knew what they were doing.
So this
right?
seems like a lot of the stuff they've been biding their time with has been coming to fruition this year, especially the Switch. There's a Forbes article that Pete you pointed to. In Japan, let me pull it up. In Japan, the Switch has been initial sales for the PS4 in Japan were a little bit higher when you compare them side to side.
They're almost on. They're basically on par. It's
But the Switch sold more in its first 6 months than the PS4 did in Japan.
Yeah.
And
And it quickly, the PS4 quickly went to the thousands.
Yeah.
Whereas Switch stays like hovering in the tens of thousands.
Yes.
And it sells out every single week.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
you're
really
saying
hard.
afterwards, like after that 6-month drop, is what you're saying. They had dropped to the thousands for PS4.
For PS4 dropped to the thousands within a couple weeks.
So-
it wasn't even 6 months.
Oh,
It
was
within a
that
couple
big of a
weeks.
gap?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
damn.
it's like double. Okay, so in short, during the first 26 weeks on sale, according to Forbes, in Japan, the PS4 managed to sell 665,000 units, whereas the Switch sold 1.52 million units. That's double.
Yeah.
In
And
Japan.
and it's selling out.
I'm curious
Yeah.
what the sales numbers are like here, everywhere else outside of Japan.
All you gotta know is the shit's selling out.
Yeah.
it's
what
like-
was-
Yeah, it's super hard to
there
get
would-
one in Japan.
There would be more sales here and there and everywhere if there were
What
more
was
units.
that?
And there's a supply. It's not like a SNES Classic thing. Like it's a small supply.
It's a
They
small
are
supply.
there.
They're trying to
They
make
sold
these things.
1.5 million.
What was
Yeah.
that? What was that line that they were flying Switches out because the demand was so high,
Oh,
and
yeah.
despite it being like a significant like loss in profit or something
Yeah,
like that,
rather
but the
than, like,
demand
shipping.
was
Yeah.
like they're like, well, hey, like we did the numbers, we just shipped these out.
Dude, I mean, Rob,
ASAP, we'll be all right.
You're
Like,
kind of looking at it right now, but this is PS4 in the right column. Apologies, this isn't great for people watching. Switch on the left, so Switch was 329,000 in its first week. PS4 was 309. So PS4 got a little bit of a bump after that in the next few weeks, 65,000, 35,000, 29. After that, it started dropping off into the 4 digits. Switch just kept increasing to 98,000 in its 21st week, 69,000 in its 26th week. That's just
as many as Nintendo
this,
can make.
and this is just Japan, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I
I
wonder.
don't have the numbers up for.
I was about to start thinking about like the whole console wars type situation, right? Where like that initial 6 months, you still had your Xbox fans maybe splitting up, but this is Japan though, right?
Yeah,
Opposed
I mean,
to, like,
Japan
Xbox
doesn't
One,
have
so-
Xbox fans.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But opposed to I mean, if it was here, maybe you could argue that, but like,
And it's nothing but good for even if you're like, I have to imagine if you're an Xbox player, if you're a PS4 player, this is just going to create more competition. And I feel like it'll push them to start doing new cool things as well. Like Nintendo is killing it this year. I mean, again, I haven't played Mario plus Rabbids, but like the Wii U, like it was there if you could go seek out the good games, right? And the 3DS's library, in my opinion, is one of the best on a platform in general. But now it's just there in your face. It's the Switch. It's selling really well. The games are doing really well. It feels like one of my main consoles now. I've been using the Office Switch. I don't even have one, and I play it a ton. Like it's one of my main things.
It's beginning to feel like now is, back when it launched, I was asked, people asked me like, like friends of mine, should we get it? And I was like, well, there's Zelda. Personally, that could last me for the end of the year, but like, I would hold off. And it's becoming like a factor of like, hey, we're about to hit October with Mario Odyssey. And that's just like the straw on the camel's back of like, yeah, you should get one.
Yeah.
Like, despite there being Splatoon, Rabbids.
Yeah, I mean, there are games where, like Splatoon and ARMS, we're not talking about those, but those
Yeah.
are still really good games. And
Right.
you've got Mario Kart on there as well. A re-release, sure, but
Or a little
still
game
great.
called Rocket League.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever that's happening, I don't know.
It's supposed to happen in October, I think.
Is it really? This is dumb.
And then
Fuck you.
And then I did notice at PAX they had like their full Nindies lineup.
Yeah.
A lot of really strong indie support on the Switch, and I think that also helps make it feel more like a main console rather than my console that plays the Nintendo games I want to play. You know what I mean? So like when I was demoing like visual novels and stuff, and a lot of them are coming to Steam and Switch. Specifically one that I played called Necro Barista, which I'm very excited for. But I thought it was cool.
awesome.
I thought it was really cool that it's like, okay, of all the platforms you could choose, going towards Switch just is another step towards being like, this is a main attraction. It can be on my TV. It can go with me. Like there's a lot going for the Switch.
And it's a good place for those types of games to live because they're not competing in a marketplace against a lot of AAA stuff.
Yeah.
Which you'd think that'd be a knock against the Switch, but it really isn't.
It isn't. Yeah.
All right, let me backtrack really quick because Ryal the Raiju in the Twitch chat seems pretty angry that we didn't talk about another Metroid 2 remake the remake that the
AM2R.
So
a game I haven't played, so I can't talk about it.
We have not played that game, unfortunately. Like, is that the one that got?
That was pulled by Nintendo a few months ago, and across the board, people seem to like that a whole hell of a lot. And it is more of a straightforward remake of Metroid 2.
Yeah.
The fact that we didn't talk about it doesn't mean we don't think that it's necessarily good.
Right.
We haven't played it.
Yeah.
We don't get to play every game that comes out, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And
It's interesting that to bring a game like that back, they had to go to this fan remake, right? For all intents, like fan revival.
The AM2R?
Yeah.
Yes.
But then, like we said, we have Mercury Steam come out with this, from what me and you would say, a very fantastic two-dimensional Metroid.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think you can compare the two because from what I understand, they're different games.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, sorry, they were asking us to play it.
That's okay.
84 Jester X, who also asked earlier about a question, said it's freaking fantastic.
Cool.
So
That's
take their
great.
word for it. Yeah.
I do want to wrap up my thought really quickly, and that's all. All I was going to say was you have the console, like the really like traditional console on my TV, super robust full-length experiences on the Switch, and then you also have curl up in a chair or in bed playing Stardew Valley or
Nice bus.
or
Like a
on the
warm
bus. Yeah, you have those more bite-sized experiences. I think that so far they've done a really good job of introducing a mix of those things for both types of player.
Yeah. It's like the Vita, but done right.
Right.
Because the Vita tried to recreate, I think, that experience that people know on something like PlayStation 4.
Right.
The Switch has got the form factor, and I guess the Vita wasn't really convertible, but whatever. It's got that added on top of it.
Yeah.
But it's got that handheld sort of high-quality gaming experience with different games. But guess what? You can also play it on your TV.
Yeah.
It's that new mind. Yeah, you're on point. It's like that new mindset now where it's like, oh man, I wish I was on the Switch. Like that thought has been lingering around my head. Like when we talk about like Next Machina, right? Like, oh, I love that game so much, but yeah, man, it would just be perfect to have on the go because it's the formula of that game, right? Like, I'll get a couple 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and I can put that thing down. Like, that's why Rabbids is so great. This is having a turn-based game. I don't know, Zelda is amazing, but like that's a game where it's like, I don't know. I have to like have headphones in. I have to be
To like have a dedicated sit down in a quiet
session.
room. Yeah.
But
Light the candles, dim the lights.
did you mention Stardew Valley? Is
Yeah.
that out yet?
Oh,
Or
that's
is
That's
that
not
still
out
on?
yet.
Apex Penguin
It's
in
still
the YouTube chat just
2017,
mentioned
I
it.
think.
The last word from what is it? Concerned Ape as the developer. The last word was that they're still working out the kinks, but that it's still technically, I think, the official release window is still 2017. But that I think that's subject to change. But I am very excited about that because that is a game that I had on Steam. And I have a desktop PC. I don't have a gaming laptop, so all the time I'd be like, I just want to play this game in bed. I love this game. I'd play Stardew Valley for like straight up 8 hours straight. Like I love that game. And I'd be like, if only I could play this on a soft cushioned surface. Like I just
While I'm pooping.
While you're pooping.
You know how I'll be.
Pooping.
Yeah, I mean, then we also have Metroid Prime 4 to look forward to. We have the new like Switch exclusive Pokemon. Yeah. When the hell's Pokemon Snap coming to this hot?
Right? I want some Pokemon Stadium.
Did you play? Oh, Pokemon Stadium.
I
would be
played a
dank.
lot of Pokemon Snap back in the day. On
Threw
the
a lot of
60
apples at Mew.
Oh, you know it. But I don't know if I would want that. I mean, you know what?
It's the perfect.
Dude,
It'd be
Like the
perfect.
gyro,
I know.
like the
No.
motion.
I was
Not
about
for
to
me,
say it's the
but-
perfect platform for Pokemon Stadium. Everyone gets a Joy-Con. You go to town.
Yeah, you
you
don't
play
need,
those
like-
Clefairy mini games.
But isn't that
Oh,
just
but
the
think
Switch
about-
Pokemon game just brought to life?
Think about.
I mean, because Stadium was you brought your characters through a memory card and then you battled.
could. You didn't have to.
You could. It
Sure.
was more focused around just battling, and then you like. It's
No,
like
I know, but you couldn't raise them on the 64 game. You couldn't like catch them and raise
You
them and
couldn't
do
catch
that.
them.
It
but
wasn't
you
an
could,
RPG
You could
or anything.
rent. You could rent Pokemon.
Sure.
So you could be like, I'm borrowing this Charmander for my battle.
I'm just
You
saying,
could
I
rent
think
them, like
the
put a loan on them.
You could stream them on Netflix.
the battle format you're talking about, I think, will be a present option in the Switch game, right?
That'd be so cool.
Also,
wouldn't it?
They must be like figuring out some way to work with
Yeah,
the,
it would have
the
to be.
console itself.
think about this for Pokemon Snap, right?
Dude, that was like
Using the
2
motion.
minutes ago.
That's what I just said.
Oh, really? We're talking about Pokemon Stadium.
There were 8 people talking. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
The other 4 are in here.
That's chives. Yeah, the Pokemon Sun and Moon Ultra are also coming out this fall, but I'm not as
Ultra-
excited for those because I didn't like Sun and Moon as even when they released.
Yeah, so I like Sun and Moon, and I understand why people wouldn't. But I think that as a Pokemon game, they do a lot of things right. Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, I am really only excited for because that's where the next competitive series is going to be played. I don't know what else they will offer me, and I haven't been convinced yet that they will offer anything different or special or new. But you need the game to play in the competitive series for 2018, so I will get it.
I hope they bring the title into the game world where like there is an Ultra Sun, there's an Ultra Moon. You're like, our whole framework has changed, but the world isn't what we thought it once was.
How do you okay, Kelly, Errol Moss has he's always in our chat. He has a specific question through Twitch for you. Oh man, this is gonna make me sound stupid. How do you pronounce this game, Pete?
Which one? I can't see. What
Legend. Legend, which
Sure.
is a combination of Pokemon and Stardew Valley. Will be on Switch in 2018. You don't know about this? I don't know about this, but it sounds like right up your alley.
Sounds like something I like.
Yeah, Errol just saying, what do you think about it? So let me
think-
Google that really quick
I
while I'm
think
here.
you should tweet a link at me because
Co-op monster raising RPG by Magus through Kickstarter. I don't know how to pronounce that. Like Legend, but okay, I don't feel like reading through
so
this right now.
a lot of anime have that same title where it's like something.
Like the
so-
Kingdom Hearts games. Here we go. Thank you, Jean-Luc.
Oh my god!
That looks like a Bravely default character.
That
like
dangerous.
Very close to her.
She should be wearing a life
Is
vest.
it? Did you
And
say
it's-
this is coming to Switch? Where is this coming? Oh my!
2018 to
Oh, that
Switch.
was
Yeah,
pretty
it's
good.
Stardew Valley plus Pokemon ish.
You guys aren't going to see me for the entirety of next year. I
I feel
think.
bad for Harvest Moon having lost, like, being the representative of its genre.
Damn,
to
this looks-
Harvest Moon.
Harvest-
or to Stardew
Harvest
Valley.
Moon has fallen so far.
Yeah.
I used to play a lot of Harvest Moon.
Well, Harvest Moon had
Oh, shit.
it sucked because the licenses got traded around, and
Yeah.
the actual series is called Story of Seasons in Japan.
Yeah.
And then it got like a different series was dubbed Harvest Moon here, and then but proper Harvest Moon finally became Story of Seasons over here. It's the most confusing timeline for a titled series.
Yeah.
Errol, to answer your question, I think this is the shit, and I
says it's
can't wait to play
PC,
this.
Switch, Xbox One, and PS4.
I can't wait to play this.
But like
game.
we were just saying, it seems like it'd be good on Switch. Oh, that's a sweet
Absolutely.
sword.
Whoa.
You're forging weapons too? 2 of them? What is this?
Rainbow Swords.
Oh my god.
This is
that a
perfect.
Daggerin?
That's a blue raptor.
Oh, so there's also the game. Oh man.
No way.
Can someone help me out? What's the game that Double Fine is publishing through their indie program that's like Pokemon?
Ooblets.
Ooblets. Yes.
I'm really
that's what this
excited
is
for
reminding me
Ooblets
of.
also.
We had them on the E3 stage a few
Nice
months ago, and that game looks charming and fun. So is this. But
Very.
this is like
Real-time combat.
yeah, with Pokemon next to you, some brawling, some farming aspects. They're just going for they're running the gamut. here.
Portal to hell.
Yeah.
I
Just start fighting
Okay.
demons with shotguns.
Just
if
takes
I,
a turn.
if I wasn't sold before, now I am sold by this portal to hell. There's also Concerned Ape, the Stardew Valley people are also doing a magic school RPG like Wizard School. So there's a lot of games that are like right up my alley coming out. I'm very stoked.
Games are cool.
Video games are great.
Side note: did you hear Magic School Bus is coming to Netflix?
I heard.
So
I was more of a reading
that's,
rainbow guy.
That's great.
Oh my god! Look
Oh
at
my
their
god, look at all these
outfits.
people. It looks like a
There's a
Monster Hunter
mage.
aspect. It looks like they're all using like the animals they hunt for armor.
That was a hell of a trailer.
But yes, to go back to what we were talking about. it seems like Nintendo is really pulling out the big guns this year, making the Switch sell in Japan at least, and it's selling over here. If like how many times it's sold out or is any indication, they're having a really good year. It's really, really nice that like one of the big three is actually acting like it again. It seems like, or at least they're putting all those plans into motion to be back up there and competing. Hopefully, this just spurs more competition with PS4 and Xbox One, and people on all the consoles get better games. What is this sigh, Pete?
Nothing.
No, you can talk. Tell me. It's just me and you.
Poor Xbox.
Woo! I know.
That UI though.
Crackdown 3 is getting pushed back. Like,
Hey,
I
but
want
Age of
Xbox
Empires,
One
buddy.
to do well.
I'm happy with Crackdown.
That was the
getting
Gamescom
pushed back.
announcement. Age of Empires.
Crackdown 3, huh? Age of Empires, what about it?
That is the only new recent
yeah.
announcement for Xbox.
That's so weird that that's coming to a console, an RTS like that.
Yes.
Jurassic World creator.
Yeah.
What was Park creator?
Colin
Is-
Trevorrow.
Yeah.
Wait, what? The director?
No.
He got pulled off Star Wars.
Game.
Oh, yeah.
How did you make that connection?
You said Jurassic Park creator. What am I supposed to think?
I love that you had that name ready.
Wow,
He got pulled off episode 9.
Wouldn't it be Michael-
yesterday. Like,
Understandable.
he's in my head.
That's understandable. What
Wouldn't
is
it
that
be
game
Michael
called?
Crichton or whoever the hell wrote that?
Jurassic World.
What's that game? Come on.
Oi, Ranger.
Oh no, I know what you're talking about. It's like Roller Coaster Tycoon, but a dinosaur.
Correct. I just can't
And then
remember the name
also,
of it.
someone
in chat
said
will
it.
be there.
Someone in the chat just said PUBG coming to Xbox One as well. I'm excited for that, but that's not exclusive.
That's not a reason to buy that platform.
Yeah.
I feel bad for them. I don't hate them. Don't attack me on Twitter. Thank you. You're gonna attack me. On
Is your
Twitter
phone
now.
blowing up already?
Dude, the last time I talked shit about, the last time I said that Xbox wasn't
vibrating?
doing so hot, I got like an onslaught from dudes with like
I would love for them to
Xbox
do
logos
well.
in their names for weeks.
The
Oh,
thing
the
is,
Scorpio guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Scorpio
You,
guys.
you didn't even shit on Xbox. You just said a fact.
Yeah.
You just said that they're not doing very well.
Anyway, whatever. I'm on the internet. What do I expect?
Yeah, I really hope Xbox does well in the coming months and they can pull it. I'm sure they need to have a Halo 6 announcement sometime in the new coming months.
That can't be the thing. It can't just be another Halo.
But it is. Like, that's what they have right now. That Gears 5, Crackdown 3 got the delay. I was excited for Crackdown 3, but now that, the delays make me worried, but I'm also glad they seem to be taking their time with it. But also
the good.
Huh?
That's a delay that's needed.
And they
Yeah.
said they announced that game too early anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park Builder, I think, according to Apex Penguin. He might be joking, though. He jokes a lot in the chat.
Jokester.
Yeah, so let's hope. I don't know. Nintendo's doing really well. It's nice to see them getting back up there. Xbox, let's hope they start pulling more weight and giving us a reason to get a Scorpio, maybe, or an X, whatever it's called. I still call it the Scorpio. Cool. So we might as well talk about Destiny 2 now. Been a bunch of questions now. We are getting to it. I have some of that through Twitter that I'll get to. But Callie, you played like 20 hours of it up in Bellevue a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
We've all been playing it. Rob, you're like level 18, I think.
I wish.
15.
Yeah.
I'm like level 8. I played Metroid a long time last night when I could have been playing Destiny. But you're reviewing it. Your review in progress is up. Overall, just to recap those impressions, what are your thoughts of the first 20 hours?
Well, so to clarify, I didn't get to finish the story, so I didn't really conclude my story impressions. But the main thing is I think they did a much better job this time around with context and contextualizing the things you're doing. We've talked before about how Destiny has this really great feedback loop. The shooting feels great, and a lot of it wouldn't work without a great foundation with like weapon handling and how enemies and shooting works. I think in Destiny 2 they did a fantastic job so far from what I have played of giving more context to the things you're doing to differentiate those actions from the other times you would be doing similar-ish things, if that makes sense. So fighting one group of Fallen in one adventure mission that has context. The context for one mission, for example, is like you're setting up comms to get refugees from the last city to come to the farm, which is the new social space. So they kind of interconnected all these things, and fighting those enemies feels distinct from fighting the enemies, on Titan, where you're doing, structurally a similar mission, but for a different reason and with different context. And I think they did a better job of introducing the story and the lore this time around. And so overall, I feel like I have a reason to keep playing. I felt like my reason before with Destiny 1 was just so I could stay caught up with everybody else who was playing. This, I feel like, I have more of a reason to play. Getting loot feels like an accomplishment again to me. It's refreshing. I'm digging it so far.
Yeah, so far, like I definitely agree. I think Taken King was a step in the right direction in terms of providing more context for what you're doing and kind of giving you some sort of motive, which isn't always necessary. Because Destiny, like I know they pulled a lot of their writers off to do other things on the first game, so they only had a few writers kind of like providing that context. Now they have a full team, but I will say they made like Destiny 1 and especially 2, it just feels almost flawless in terms of how it plays, like the mechanics themselves. And they need to be if they're going to have people playing this for a year or two straight, like almost like, every day in some cases. But now it feels like there actually is this overarching world that's kind of enveloping you. And that's not always necessary, but I think it is here because it's such a cool world and people wanted to see more of it.
Well, I do think it's necessary to justify coming back day after day, right? You have to find a reason other than just, I like grinding. There's things that I like that I am going to reserve final judgment on until I can try them out in PvP. Like I like the new weapon categories, right? But I haven't really tested that out in PvP. For me in PvE, feels like a lot of variety, and I feel like the game is showcasing its fantastic weapon design,
Oh my
right?
God.
But I know some people are nervous about that in PvP and the way the new weapon categories will affect that. So, there's things that I'm still kind of hesitant about, but I've played mostly like single player stuff. I played some co-op last night. That was really seamless.
Strikes.
I've done one strike so far. I haven't really done a lot of strikes.
Yeah. That was like my ending thought last night around like 1 a.m. was just like getting a new weapon and trying it out, and just like all around just such a unique and like varied arsenal that you can, like, every weapon is like, this gun is cool, and then you get a new gun and you go, well, for the most part it's like, oh, that's a cool gun, but you know what, I kind of like that last gun better. And that's always tough to like dismantle a weapon. But what I was gonna say was, touching on your context, like for me, I'm not one to speak a lot about Destiny because I did kind of fall off, but like contextually, I didn't import my character, and I wanted to like have you explain one thing later. But like going around and interacting with objects, I don't remember this ever being a thing in Destiny where like you do that classic ghost interaction, but what you get out of it is a very vague but like interesting and kind of maybe foreshadowing sometimes bit of dialogue that you find along your way. This is again for the most part like the main story, but I know you can find these things everywhere.
Yeah, they're called scannables, I think.
Scannables? Okay.
Yeah, you can
Sounds
scan.
like a snack.
Is that Lunchables?
It's totally that. It's
Mom,
a
give me
little.
some scannables at the Costco.
That's right. That's exactly it. But it's great to like just engage with something and then just have someone have chatter with you as you're walking through a really awesome, breathtaking environment. That was very rewarding. But yeah, if you want to talk about, you just told me this before we went live, and I found that freaking awesome.
Yeah, so in addition to, like, I think dialogue in this game does a better job. I mean, so in Destiny 1, if you're not familiar, you could unlock Grimoire cards and you would get kind of lore information that you have to read online or on the app. And so it was really cumbersome, right? In Destiny 2, a lot of it is through dialogue. It's a lot more integrated into the actual game itself. And one of the cool things is I was playing co-op with somebody last night who had imported his character from Destiny 1. I switched from Xbox to PS4, so I have like a new character. And we were comparing dialogue, and the dialogue changes based on whether the game thinks you are a new player or a returning player. So when I encountered the Taken, for example, my dialogue was basically like, oh, the Taken are, this kind of thing. They're distorted species like the Fallen. I got like a basic lowdown on what the Taken are. For the person I was playing with, he got a thing like, oh, remember when we beat Oryx? I thought the Taken shouldn't be here. And so it was a different kind of dialogue that still serves to introduce the Taken in the context of Destiny 2, but takes into account your experience and what you should already know. So I thought that was really smart. It's a good way to not over-explain to returning players who know what the hell the Fallen are and the Taken and all that stuff. But it's also just it helps kind of call back to all the time you spent in Destiny 1.
Yeah.
I think it's really smart.
There are a bunch of minor things that, as someone who put a decent amount of time into the first Destiny, that I like. Chiefly among them is something I didn't even know that they would be showing public events on the map and when they would start in
that's
certain
really
areas.
neat.
In Destiny 1, there was a certain site that tracked them, and they would say, go to this part of the moon for this. So that's really nice. That's a good little quality of life thing.
Yeah, and the public events are important because you can get loot drops from them that help you unlock your other subclasses. And I believe we're doing a guide on that, so check GameSpot for that later. But
many guides.
many guides. But it's nice to be able to track them because they're a little more useful, and it's also nice. I do want to talk about this a little bit. One of the other things that I talked about in my review in progress is the variety of things you have to do. In addition to the context surrounding those things, does help to break up the repetitive feeling, even though you are doing very, very similarly structured things. And so, when you're grinding, there's two missions in the story that are level gated. And so in order to, you probably will be like 2 or 3 levels behind if you just kind of play through the story without doing any extra stuff. And so to do that grinding to get up to that level, you can do an adventure, which is kind of like a story mission-esque activity you can do on a planet.
In-depth side quests compared to like patrols and everything.
You can do a patrols. Patrols are they do exist. They're very short form.
Yeah.
If you played the first Destiny, you'll be familiar with them. Adventures are super long form, and you get better loot from them. There's lost sectors, which are like dungeons. There's public events. There's heroic public events. There's basic looting, and then there's collecting tokens from around the map that you can exchange with that area's NPC for loot. So there's a lot of different ways to level up and get new loot, and I thought they did a great job of introducing those and giving you options based on, what have you already done? Do you want to do more lost sectors, or are you bored of that because you did 6 today already? Or even, do you have enough time to do an adventure? Maybe not. Maybe you'll do a patrol or 2. So I thought that was all really, really smart. And it was nice. It was nice to have options of things to do instead of just being like, all right, how many patrols do I have to complete before I'm level 13?
I was I was consistently surprised with the variety of adventures for something of such quantity, right? It was like, there was one I did last night that was pretty well designed. It was on this planet here, and it was like just kind of like hot potato with platforming.
I love that one.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that
Where
one's really fun.
There's like, it's a series of 3 platforms.
So, yeah,
it was really fun and difficult.
You're on these Vex platforms, and I am not a huge fan of Destiny's platforming, but I think
I know. It was weird to think of this being entertaining.
I was surprised that I liked it because I've never really cared for Destiny's platforming, but this one there's like Vex platforms, and they're charging them separately, and so you have to like figure out, and the charge is going to hurt you, so you have to like jump from one to the next.
Yeah, hot lava basically.
And it was actually it's a silly concept, but it was really fun, and you're like getting information about the Vex as you do it, which is another thing that's like, oh, now I'm learning about the Vex, which are the coolest race in Destiny by far. I love them.
Yeah.
They're absolutely the coolest race in Destiny.
They are pretty neat.
It's pretty vexing that you just said that.
Oh God. Peter almost threw up.
Anyway, but
it was.
I knew exactly what you were talking about, and that's the thing is like, in Destiny 1, I could have been like, I did this patrol where I killed a thing, and be like, yeah. But this one was like, oh, I did this hot potato, and I knew exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
They're distinct, and they're like, they feel like proper missions.
It's not just platforming. You're doing a multitude of different like things within this objective. You're trying to get in. One of these platforms is something you need to get, and so like it might be I think this is it. If he pulls it up exactly. Yeah.
I think I captured
what's the
this.
name of this? Yeah.
Actually, this might be somebody else.
This looks like it's it.
Yeah, this is it.
So what was funny was to have your brain go like, okay, like I'm gonna time it, because all the while you're battling like a series of like right here, you're predicting when it's gonna be on and off, and while dealing with enemies and while listening to like the story, and the story was super entertaining. Like, what are the characters on each planet that you've kind of first interact? Not like
they're just like the planet NPC, I think is what they're referred to, but like
that you're interacting with and getting a lot of your quests.
They are the quest givers, and
quest givers. Yeah. So a lot of times they're having conversations with your ghost, and I found all these characters so far to pretty. I wouldn't say I'm like in love with them, but they're at least
But I want to marry them.
But I want
I want to.
but I want to go on a third date.
Yeah.
I like Failsafe, which is the one on Nessus. I like Failsafe a lot.
Yeah.
There's
cool
other
name.
ones I'm not as big a fan of, but it is cool.
but
to
they're
like
fun
get
to
that
listen. I don't know. They're entertaining to listen to. I
Destiny
don't know.
2 does a much better job of keeping them involved throughout the adventure, the quest.
Yeah,
because Destiny 1,
exactly.
you would get the quest, and there might be one line of dialogue. It would usually be Zavala or
Cade, yeah.
or
Right.
Ikora. Yeah, exactly. And they would be telling you, they would be talking to you every once in a while. But then the actual one who gave you the quest, whether it was like Saladin or anybody, it wouldn't really. These characters remain part of the quest throughout, and it's pretty cool that way.
And
You'll
it's-
run into them at the end doing something,
And
and
it's-
then there'll be
yeah.
some like when you tell Sulaya, what's the first girl's name at the farm?
Hawthorne?
Hawthorne Sulaya or
It's
Soraya?
Soraya.
When you tell her that you have to go do something else, she's like legitimately pissed off
Yeah,
at you
she's
because
like,
she's like,
we need your help.
Yeah.
What the hell?
What do you call Soraya's sister?
Psoriasis.
Oh, nice one. That was
Anyway,
It's neat to come back to each planet though and have a familiar look, a familiar style of music. The music is really great, but also like
Music's
this,
fantastic.
a familiar chatter with like your ghost and this character. Like for instance, this character here is maybe I don't want to spoil it if that is spoilery.
sick. Oh,
But,
I thought
like,
you were just falling into
Game journalist.
I don't know. It's the conversations are like memorable and I don't know. It's just it's refreshing. And the other thing too, like what I want to talk about was like the pacing of like enemies. Where if I remember the first game, you're thrown the hive like within the first like 2 hours.
oh yeah, the hive are
Right?
immediate.
And I got very much like a Halo feel.
The
Time and
hive
time
are
again.
basically the flood.
They
yeah.
are, and it's the form of alien that like will just freaking like come at you nonstop.
They're an infestation.
Exactly. It was neat to like have that pacing drawn out of like different enemy types, opposed to like just like having it all randomly thrown with no context into your face.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It reminded me of Halo, and I liked that a lot. That's my point.
I will
night.
say the story isn't groundbreaking by any means. I think it's Gaul, which is the main enemy, is basically Bane from Batman. I don't know if anyone else got that vibe.
He's got the rebreather, right?
But he's basically Bane. Well, he gives this speech where he's like, "I had a hard life," and it's yeah. But
Join the
it's
club, Gaul.
I think it's at least told more cohesively, which makes the things that are actually very good about Destiny shine more.
Did you see that upside down?
Yeah. Sorry.
I did not
Sorry,
see
Callie.
this.
No,
I didn't
sorry.
see this.
He was upside down, just flying upwards.
These
you do.
these public events, by the way, these ones where you have to fight the Cabal and there's like missiles that come down at you. I was playing one last night where everybody but me died, and I had to revive everyone because they just got annihilated. They're
These-
actually
You're
like,
playing Hunter, right?
yeah.
Is this your
These
footage?
are
Who's this?
This is
difficult.
not mine. I think this is a Warlock. I can't tell.
Yeah. It feels like with Taken King, it was a step in the right direction for Bungie to say, we're listening to what people want. We are making corrections to what the vanilla game was. 2, from my perspective so far, it feels like that it's that times 10. Like, this is what people want. This is what we want to do with the story. This is what we want to do for, like, quality of life things. This is, it remains to be seen how these weapons will work out in PvP, like you said. I don't know. From your perspective, do you think this is Bungie, like, kind of making good on what the first Destiny could have been?
Oh, I stand corrected. This is a Titan, and it's Tay's footage.
Some gin.
Sorry. Yeah, I think this is basically like, rather than starting out where vanilla year one Destiny started out, this is like we're beginning with Taken King levels of involved story activities to do. I'm very excited to see where they go with that. Like, what if this is the platform that they're building on? I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see where they go.
A while back in the chat, I put this in our run of the show because it was a good question, or it was a good observation. 84 Jester X in the YouTube chat was saying, so far, Destiny 2 seems to be doing what Titanfall 2, Borderlands 2, and even from what it seems, Battlefront 2 will be doing, sequels that are kind of what the first games should have been, or at least what we hoped they were. I would agree with Titanfall 2. I would say that was a very good improvement on what I wanted the first game to be. Battlefront 2, it seems like that's what they're doing, I hope. Borderlands 2, I played a ton of that game, same thing. But yeah, it does seem like I just kind of mentioned, it seems like this is Destiny, maybe not like, the quintessential Destiny experience, but they're getting there.
Yeah, what it's supposed to be. I will say I haven't played enough to be sure that this needed to be a sequel rather than an add-on. I think it's nice to have a fresh start. I think a lot of people were kind of upset that they had to give up all of their gear and stuff. As somebody who didn't have a lot of people to play with and therefore didn't really grind for like the best gear, that wasn't a problem for me anyway. But the fresh start is also nice in that they've changed a number of things that it makes sense to go in new and fresh, I guess. But at the same time, other than the fact that the story is 2 years after the events of the first game, I'm just not sure yet. I need to play more for sure.
Yeah, so at this point now, like how many hours you played? Like 30 maybe total, like including.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, probably. I was up pretty late last night.
So far, are your initial impressions of this better than they were for the first Destiny?
Yes, I think this has been a positive first impression.
Cool.
I have had to replay a lot in this first day because at the event I played through stuff on a dummy account. So that's why I'm saying I kind of need to feel it out more on my own account and see how I feel about the loot system and stuff like that. But it has been positive, and even replaying it, I'm not bored. It's the missions are well designed enough that I'm not like, oh, I have to do this mission again. Which is nice if you're creating characters in every class. So
cool. So Destiny 2 is out, Xbox One, PS4 right now. It's coming to PC, unfortunately, for people who are waiting for it, on October 24th. We have all been playing on mainly PS4 multiple platforms whenever possible. I think everybody's enjoying it so far. We'll have more stuff coming from GameSpot all week. We have like guides and features and whatnot. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Side note, hopefully this isn't too inside baseball. You just mentioned that they had the dummy character at Bungie. Have you heard the story about... So I found out that I was reviewing Taken King, and I also hadn't played Destiny since before The Dark Below, so I was really behind.
yeah.
And then our boss comes up. He's like, "Hey, it'd probably be good for us if you can get to the max level." And I had like
you didn't need to?
I had like 2 weeks before the event, which that's like 3 weeks worth of time. So I just like... Eric Tay was just carrying me through a bunch of things, and it wasn't a nightmare. I was playing a video game. It was still fun, but it was still a grind for like 2 solid weeks.
And then you go to the event and it's a dummy.
I got to the event and I picture myself slow zoom while it's like, "Hello, darkness, my..." Yeah, I was just, oh my god, I'm just playing with this Titan that they just whipped up an hour before the show. It was funny. At the time, I was like, one day I'll look back and laugh on this. So here we are.
It was. Oh my god, that's gonna pique ears.
Sorry.
It was literally like hiring a trainer and Tay being like, "No, give me 5 more. Get your ass up in the office."
Making me chug raw eggs.
That's how I was when I was reviewing Rise of Iron, but I had to level up my account, so I was like, oh god. But the dummy accounts have really punny names, which is nice.
What were they?
Mine was
Psoriasis?
not psoriasis. I think Alessandro's was Respect Your Elder, like Prison of Elders. There was
Respect Your Elder.
Oh, that'd be
Dude, me and
even
you
better.
both.
You're
Come
better.
on. Yeah.
Shacks Me Anything was another one.
Oh, damn. I gotta hook up with Bungie.
I was Problem Wild, which I didn't. I was like, whatever. But like, Shacks Me Anything was everybody's favorite. I thought that was a good one.
Cool. So like I said, we'll have a lot of Destiny stuff on GameSpot throughout the week on our YouTube channel and on site.
Kelly's going to share daily updates on her progress.
That's
Reviewing
me.
progress will be updated. I got to sneeze, so tell them what the plan is.
Basically, we're doing a daily diary entry just of here's the things that I did today and my impressions. It's going to be pretty casual. I guess tweet at me if you have questions. Woo.
Yeah. And also, to get to the giveaway, this is a good transition because it is Destiny related. Jean-Luc will pull up the image we have for you. It is a Destiny 2 coloring book, a 20-page poster book. You can see that on the left. Actually, well, that's kind of cool, actually. I don't know what some of the posters look like. And a journal from Insight Editions, who did this this collection. The Art of Destiny 2 title will be releasing November 28th from Insight Editions. And yeah, as always, Shiva, who manages our Twitter account, she might put in the Twitch chat right now the link to that tweet from GameSpot. If you don't already follow us on Twitter, do so, and then retweet that giveaway tweet. We'll pick later in the week a random winner for this giveaway. As always, we'll be announcing that via Twitter, and we'll contact you if you are the winner, the lucky winner. That's the show. It's good to be back. I think I might be gone again in a couple weeks, but we don't know for sure yet. But yeah,
We never really know what the future holds for us.
unless you're a Vex
Unless you're a Vex and you have complete control over space and time.
or Amy Adams in Arrival. No, just kidding.
Haven't seen that.
Yeah. So Shiva just put the link in the Twitch chat. If you're there, if you're in the YouTube, just go to Twitter and follow us and retweet us if you don't already.
Or like my digestive system.
You know what the future holds? You're what? You're a few seconds behind on a lot of things today.
Want to let you speak?
Can we get like a slowpoke overlay for Rob's face?
I don't get that joke.
His intestines control space and time. Right?
So your intestines are the vault of glass?
That's
Vault of ass, as it were.
yes.
Dude, you are good today. Let's hang out more the rest of the day. Screw work. I just want to hear some of these sick puns. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us in the YouTube chat, Twitch chat, GameSpot. As always, we will be back next week. The raid for Destiny 2 will be releasing on Lobby Day, but I think as of now, the tentative
Pray for
schedule
me.
is to. Yeah, I don't even know if you'll. Well, you might not even be.
I
here
might
next
just
week.
be rating. I don't
Okay,
know.
so we'll
Keep
probably
her-
bring.
keep her in the corner
We might
playing,
bring
and we'll
like.
cut to her once
I
in a
don't know
while.
if he's back there. We'll see if Jean-Luc's back there next week. We're
that
gonna.
is a cool idea. We've talked about that.
Thank you.
What?
We just do like a status check on the raid and we cut to it every
During the
often.
lobby?
Ooh, like
During the
Sports
lobby.
Center.
I'll just like shout out. There's a phrase we use to cut, and we'll just randomly say it, and we'll have to cut to Callie.
And it's,
Bob
and it's you
Jones.
sweating, and we have like a water bottle, like, and it's like some text.
I have a towel over my
During,
shoulders.
like in the raid,
body temperature.
like
We just have to cut. She's like,
Clipboard,
cut me. Bob Jones says Rob seems like he's in deep thought today. I would argue that, but yeah. So of course we will be
Damn.
back next week with that.
You're
Eric
getting
Tay will
poisoned.
probably. I think he's streaming Destiny 2 pretty much all week. He does our
Yeah,
streams now.
probably.
Almost
Yeah,
literally.
said yeah.
he
probably.
goes, yeah, probably.
Cool. So you can stay tuned to Twitch every day at 11, or YouTube or GameSpot Live to watch Eric play some Destiny 2. He's leveling faster than any of us as usual, except when I beat him in that bet.
Good joke.
Beginning of the Taken King.
Great joke.
We made a bet and I won. I'll never let him forget that. It was
You got
funny
your
because the
sandwich.
Destiny 2 has those memories that come up
I
at the beginning.
saw!
Yeah, it shows like who you did these certain events with, and it said Taken King, and it said Irish X, my PSN, and Juice and Gin. And I was like, oh, remember this? When I beat you, that it was like 3 a.m. Oh man, I
Man,
remember that.
Good
you
times.
just gave away
Good
your
times.
PSN name.
People see it on Knievel all the time.
No one actually cares.
I know. Jesus. All right. Thanks everybody for stopping by. We'll be back next week, and we'll be streaming all throughout this week some Destiny 2. See you then.